Happy Wednesday, heroes, and welcome back to another World Traveler Wednesday. I'm Miss Rosie, and today I'm going to be taking you to one of my favorite countries. Today, we are going to Peru! So a few quick facts. The official name is the Republic of Peru. Lima is the capital. There are about 32,971,854 people living in Peru. The official language is Spanish, Quechua, and Aymara, and there's a land area of about 496,224 square miles that cover Peru. So Peru is the third largest country in South America, just after Brazil and Argentina. It is made up of a variety of landscapes such as mountains, beaches, to deserts, to rainforests, and most of the people who live in Peru live along the Pacific Ocean, where Lima, the capital, is located. And Peru borders the Pacific Ocean to the west and 5 South American countries: Ecuador and Colombia to the north, Brazil and Bolivia to the east, and Chile to the south. There are 3 regions in Peru. The first is the coastal region, where Lima is located. This is actually a picture of Lima that you see on the screen. The second is the Andes, so the mountainous region. And then the third is the jungle. And actually, 60% of the country is covered in jungle. Peru is located on what is known as the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is a major area in the basin of the Pacific Ocean where several earthquakes and volcanoes have erupted, and the country actually has several volcanoes. Ubinas is the country's most active volcano and last erupted in 2009. In Peru varies from tropical in the eastern rainforest region to dry desert in the western coastal regions, and in the higher parts of the Andes there's more of a mild climate. So Machu Picchu has a subtropical highland type of climate with wet and humid summers and dry and frosty winters. So when I was down in Peru, my sister and I, we did the Inca trek, which we hiked up to Machu Picchu. And the day that we actually went through the Inca trek on the hike, it was beautiful. So it looked a little like this. But then, it's because I went in the summertime, the next day it looked a little something like this. As you can see, I was not expecting there to be rain, and it was a little miserable because we had to wake up at 3 a.m. to go back to hike on the inside of Machu Picchu and go up to the mountain. Did you know that Peru is slightly smaller than the state of Alaska here in the US and almost twice the size of Texas, and Peru is actually about twice the size of France? The total population of Peru is about 32 million. The 3 largest cities in Peru are Lima, Arequipa, and Trujillo. Article 48 of the Political Constitution of Peru officially recognizes the nation's various languages as, quote, official languages of the state are Spanish, and whenever they are predominant, Quechua, Aymara, and other native tongues in accordance with the law, end quote. Quechua is the second most common language in Peru and the most widely spoken native language. It is spoken by about 13% of the population, primarily in the central and southern highland regions of Peru. Quechua was the language of the Inca Empire. It existed long before the Incas came to power, but their use and promotion of the language helped it spread and remain strong in the Andean regions of Peru. And actually, Quechua was declared an official language on May 27, 1975. There are less than 500,000 Aymara speakers in Peru, about 1.7% of the population, but it remains the nation's third most spoken language. In modern-day Peru, Aymara speakers live almost entirely in the extreme south along the border with Bolivia. Aymara is more widely spoken in Bolivia, which has about 2 million Aymara speakers. Peruvian culture is an amazing mix of Hispanic and native traditions. The Quechua and the Aymara are the 2 main native cultures of Peru, both of whom speak their native languages, as I was just explaining previously. These Inca descendants have successfully preserved and developed their proud cultures despite the creeping in of globalization. In fact, the old Inca seat of Cusco is still perceived as the cultural capital of the country by many people. Typical Peruvian dress is absolutely beautiful. In some regions, the women wear layers of bright skirts called poleras. Some wear black skirts with a wide embroidered belt or cotton petticoats underneath with elaborate designs. Peruvian ponchos are a necessity in the highlands, where the cold can be really harsh. And woolen or straw hats are also very common. Machu Picchu is one of the only Inca towns that survived the Spanish conquest. It is often mistakenly referred to as the lost city of the Incas, and it is the most familiar icon of Inca civilization. The Incas built the estate around 1450, but abandoned it a century later in the time of the Spanish conquest. It is believed that the Inca civilization did not have any wheels, which meant that all of the stone used to build this mountaintop city was either hauled to the summit by hand or made from the mountain itself. The Incas created roads throughout the empire that led to Machu Picchu. This transport system included paths, bridges, and mountain trails. Combined, these roads stretch over 18,000 miles all over Peru. There are actually over 150 buildings at this ancient site. These range from temples to bathhouses. One of the most impressive architectural features of Machu Picchu is the staircase that has 100 steps that have been carved out of a single piece of stone. In the Quechua language, Machu Picchu translates to English as Old Peak or Old Mountain. So some of the typical Peruvian food and drinks include tamales. The potato dough sack is often eaten for breakfast and also makes a popular snack. Tamales are usually filled with chicken or pork and served with a spicy sauce, which is usually salsa. Empanadas, a meat-stuffed pie that are served all over the region. Sopa de quinoa. This soup made of quinoa is a hearty dish and often includes corn and various types of beans. And ceviche, which is raw white fish that has been marinated and then cooked in lime juice, onion, pepper, and salt. In Peru, they also make a dessert called picarones, which is a sweet dessert kind of similar to a fried donut ring that has been dipped into syrup. They're made with squash and sweet potatoes instead of flour and eggs, and they are very delicious. Peru is home to over 1,700 species of birds, over 500 species of mammals, and over 300 species of reptiles. Of the 500 mammal species, about 100 are threatened or endangered. Among the endangered animals of Peru are the Andean bear, the kudu, the jaguar, and the giant otter. The national animal of Peru is the vicuña, and there are over 300 varieties of potatoes grown in Peru. The country's southern region along the northwestern parts of Bolivia are commonly known as the place where the potatoes were grown first. Thank you so much for traveling to Peru this week with me. I hope you had fun. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and drop a quick comment below whether you've tried any type of Peruvian food and what your favorite is. And please make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can continue traveling every Wednesday together. And we will see you next week with Miss Jules.